Hi, hello.
Sound check.
Hey guys, are we ready?
Six rounds.
12 races.
Tough competition.
Real racing.
From Bahrain to Saudi Arabia.
Iconic tracks.
And breathtaking destinations.
This is the second season.
This is
The Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East.
we're ready to go.
That's it?
That's it.
Welcome back to the Kingdom of Bahrain for the start of the Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East season. This is the second race this weekend, about to get underway here in beautiful Saturday morning sunshine. Hello everybody, Martin Haven ready to watch the action with you. And if yesterday's season opener was anything to go by, we could have quite a battle on our hands. Colin Berninghausen starts on pole position. The single qualifying session on Friday. His best lap was the second best recorded, so he started race 1 second, but his second best lap was quicker than anybody else's, so he starts on pole. Ahead of yesterday's race winner, Janne Stick. Janne, the youngest driver in the championship, just 17 years of age, started yesterday's race on pole ahead of Berninghausen, shut him down into turn 1 and led all the way. Under constant pressure, it has to be said, Colin was rarely more than a second behind, and often not that. Then Saad El Saud, he lines up third on the grid as he did yesterday, was running in the top 3 for quite a while, and he is not in the same pro class as our front row starters. He's in the Pro-Am class, one of a pair of Saudi racing drivers in the Saudi racing team, and they finished 1-2 in the Pro-Am category yesterday. Now behind him, or alongside him, let's say on row 2 of the grid, is a visitor for the first time to Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. Angus Whiteside comes from Porsche Carrera Cup GB, and he has been entertaining in qualifying and in the race. Angus joined by fellow Brit James Wallace. Now James Wallace also coming from Porsche Carrera Cup GB, and he is the Porsche Junior GB driver, so one of the official Porsche junior drivers. James Wallace starts in 5th, and in 6th position on the grid, car number 44, Thomas Kiefer. He was the final podium finisher in the Pro-Am category yesterday, behind the 2 Saudi drivers, Saad El Saud and Khaled Al Ahmadi. This is Khaled's car. He lined up in 7th place here. Where was he on yesterday's race 1 grid? In the same position. I think now he was in 5th place yesterday, so a row further back, his second best lap. So in the single qualifying session, your fastest lap dictated your pace, your place on the race 1 grid, your second fastest lap on the race 2 grid. And Soren Spring, in both instances, started 8th yesterday and 8th again today. The Pro-Am driver, though, made an electrifying start yesterday, challenging for second overall into turn 1, ended up in 3rd place and held on to the lead in Pro-Am for a long while. Eventually, though, ran out of tyres after far too many lockups and shuffled down the order. Alexandra Vateva starts in 9th position on the grid. That is a row ahead of where she was yesterday. And Peter Brecker, who won in Masters yesterday, fellow Bulgarian driver, though he is now living in the US. They are both on row 5 of the grid, 9th and 10th. Peter Brecker leading the Masters category points, the 3rd of our classifications for the drivers. So we have Pro, Pro-Am and Masters, and all of them using the same 911 Cup car. These are the cars that will be used in all the Porsche Carrera Cups, all 12 different national and regional series around the globe, from Great Britain, Scandinavia, Australia, Germany, and everywhere else, so too here in the Middle East. They're also the same car that's used in the Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. Green lights are on, final formation lap. They've essentially had half a formation lap because they're not using the main Formula One pit lane here. They are using the pit lane on the back straight between corner 10 and corner 11, the Oasis pits. But it's Colin Berninghausen who leads them away from yesterday's winner, Janis Stierk. And on row 2 of the grid, Saud El Saad and Angus Whiteside. Then James Wallace and Thomas Kiefer, Khaled Al Ahmadi and Soren Spring. Behind them, Peter Bracker and Banksy lines up on the inside of row 6 with Mark Thomas alongside him. Chris Randero, Mike Mim and Saif Al Ameri, our final driver on the grid, another of the Pro-Am drivers. So Alexandra Vateva, the only female driver there. On the right-hand side, Robert Lechner in the centre is Walter Lechner Jr., the two brothers that have taken over the running of Lechner Racing, set up by their late father, Walter Lechner. Walter, a legend in the Porsche world. He's Lechner Racing School, Lechner Academy, and recently Walter Lechner Racing has been a dominant factor in GT and sports car racing, and particularly with Porsches over the years. And the brothers here are the technical advisors and the organisers of the series. This is run by a local group here in the Middle East, but the Lechner experience certainly goes a long way into making this championship what it is. Second year that it's been a Porsche Carrera Cup, after going through several permutations as a broader Porsche Racing Championship Cup. Now official Carrera Cup Middle East for the second year. So the field running around this Bahrain International Circuit. 15 corners, highly abrasive. If you abuse your tyres early on, you will definitely pay for it later. 12 laps or 30 minutes is the race duration, whichever comes first. Now being led downhill by our poleman, Colin Berninghausen. First race weekend of the series. They will be back here later in the spring to support the Formula One Grand Prix here in Bahrain, but the next stop will be Qatar at the end of November. They'll be in Dubai in mid-January, Abu Dhabi a week later, then coming back here to Bahrain and rounding out the season at the Jeddah circuit in Saudi Arabia. So lots of regional drivers here from the GCC states have been partaking in this series, and it also attracts a lot from across the globe. It's a great opportunity to get more racing miles during the winter. Good atmosphere and cracking kit to play with. So our cars heading to the grid for the second departure of the weekend. Green flag waves at the back. The field is complete. We are ready to go in Bahrain for race 2 of the Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. On pole position, Colin Berninghausen. On the left-hand side of the screen, yesterday's race winner, Janis Stierk. 5 red lights are on. Away we go. And as yesterday, the poleman has to shut off second, and as yesterday, watch up by the pit wall, the blue and yellow of Soren Spring made an electrifying getaway from 8th to run 3rd into turn 1. He's not getting away that quickly, but Saud El Saad around the outside in the green and white colours of Saudi Arabia, the Pro-Am driver who started 3rd, trying to take 2nd from Janis Stierk, didn't quite manage it. Colin Berninghausen spinning up the rears out of turn 3. He's in trouble. Banksy has gone off in the turn 3 corner, but Berninghausen just holds off Janis Stierk. And behind him, James Wallace up to 3rd. Angus Whiteside 4th, getting by Saud El Saad. And Banksy, the Japanese driver, recovering. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the front of the car. So I wonder if he ran into the back of somebody under braking. Change for the lead. Janis Stierk has got ahead of Colin Berninghausen. James Wallace 3rd, Angus Whiteside 4th, and then a change for the lead in Pro-Am as well. Soren Spring, the blue and yellow the Swedish colours of the Dutch driver for Team GP Elite. He's jumped into the lead ahead of Saad El Saad and Khaled Al Ahmadi. So the two green and white Saudi racing cars next up. Then Thomas Kiefer in fourth, the white and blue. Christian Ried in the Proton Racing Garage, a long time Porsche racer. Knows the family well, knows the Lechners extremely well. Both Walter Lechner Jr., as he was then, and Robert Lechner have been GT racers. Mark Thomas with the stripes, and right behind him, Christian Andero, the black and lime. They're in the Masters category, but Masters being led again by yesterday's winner, Peter Brecker, who's at the tail of this queue. But Janis Stierk leads from Colin Berninghausen. Haven't seen a replay of the pass, but it would have been on the exit of turn 4, down through 5 and 6, I think. Berninghausen had to defend hard going into turn 4 after nearly looping it away, exiting corners 2 and 3. Here's a challenge, Mark Thomas. Side by side for 12th place with Krista Andero, and up the inside for the lead in Pro-Am, Saad El Saad, and contact between the two blue and white, or the blue and yellow and the blue and white car. So Thomas Kiefer making contact with Soren Spreng. They're both stationary there. Well, we had no interruptions in yesterday's race, but unless both those cars move, and I think, well, Spreng's going, but I think Thomas Kiefer has got a damaged left front, we may end up with a safety car here. Just going to point out, by the way, that behind the two Saudi cars, Saad El Saad and, okay, so Thomas Kiefer has got moving. Let's take a look here. Saad El Saad down the inside of Soren Spreng's blue and yellow car, late braking. Spreng didn't see him coming, turned in. Thomas Kiefer skated up the inside of Khaled Al Ahmadi as well, and he was rotating anyway. Al Ahmadi managed to avoid him, and then I think it was Mike Mim who squeezed through. And there's Banksy recovering from his first lap escapades in turn 2 and 3. He had a first lap off yesterday as well, recovered to complete the race. And Thomas Kiefer out of the car, but are they going to be able to rescue it there without the intervention of a safety car? I'm not sure. One lap down, we're on lap 2 of 12. Janis Stierk leading. Top 4 cars, there is Stierk in the DHL colours. Colours worn by last year's overall champion, pro-class champion. So Stierk ahead of Colin Berninghausen. And into the pit lane, Soren Spreng alongside the drag strip. So the drag strip here separates the two pit lanes. The main pit lane, in fact, doesn't separate the two pit lanes. It separates the Oasis pit lane from the main racetrack. Well, there are the two Saudi cars, Saad El Saad and Khaled Al Ahmadi now leading, and third in Pro-Am. Behind them is Alexander Vateva, and again Mark Thomas, and in fact that's Peter Brecker and Krista Andero. Peter Brecker taking back the lead of the Masters from the lime and black car, Krista Andero. Andero had a bit of an up and down race yesterday. Looks like he's got it all together a lot better today. Mark Thomas in third in the Masters category. Down the inside, Andero at turn 4. It's a favourite overtaking place at the top of the hill, and goes through. New gravel trap just on the driver's left-hand side there to avoid running out wide and avoid track limits. They sweep through 5, down the hill through corner 6. And then 7 and turn 8, this tight right-hander, and it continues to plunge downhill. You go over the brow, and as you go over the brow into turn 9, 9 and 10, or a corkscrew downhill double left-hand element, but really tightens at the apex of turn 10, and you saw there, Christian Andero not getting it right. Peter Brecker challenging him. And it was Mike Mim with the blue mirrors on the silver car that we saw a little earlier. He's made a really good run up through the field. Peter Brecker, yesterday's Masters winner, does not get by. Mike Mim, having started in 14th place, is up to 5th. he's had a very entertaining opening couple of laps. Soren Spreng has retired to the pit lane. It looks like the race director is happy that Mark Thomas's car, Thomas Kiefer's car is out of the way. And so that is good news for them. That means hopefully there'll be no safety car intervention and we'll be able to continue racing. Back at the head of the field, as yesterday, Janusz Stierk leading, Colin Berninghausen in second place. So out of turn 3, you climb the hill to turn 4. And there you can see Mike Mim, the Masters leader. The silver car with the pale blue mirrors just at the bottom of the shot there. And here's the rest of the Masters battle. Saad Al Saud leading in Pro-Am. Mike Mim leading very comfortably in Masters. There's this battle, Christer Andero, Peter Brecker, Mark Thomas. That's the lime green and black, the white, black and gold, and the silver car with all the coloured stripes. That's second, third and fourth in the Masters class. Sef Alameri having a better run as well behind them than he did yesterday. Staying very much in touch with Mark Thomas. And back at our leaders, James Wallace third, who finished third yesterday. Angus Whiteside fourth, who finished fourth yesterday. So this is the top 4, the Pro Class finishing order from yesterday being repeated. Fastest lap on lap 2. And that was the lap after he got by Colin Berninghausen. Berninghausen from pole shut him down into turn 1. Just about held him off, having squirmed between turn 2 and 3 with far too much wheel spin on cold tyres. Berninghausen just held off the red and yellow DHL car into turn 4. And by the time they got to turn 8, Stierk was ahead, so sensing that Berninghausen having to defend late and shallow as he turned into turn 4, had nothing on the exit. Can't run out wide there anymore because of the gravel trap. Haven't seen a replay. Cameras were clearly watching the battle behind. But Berninghausen now with the same problem he had yesterday, is that Janusz Stierk in an equal car has just got a whisker more pace. Berninghausen is going to have to be very inventive. So this is turn 4. Berninghausen on the racing line this time, but on lap 1 he was very much on the inside of the racing line, which means you're going to have to run out wide to carry your speed. The gravel says you can't. And by the time we got down to the hairpin at turn 8, Janusz Stierk was already through. There's Alexandra Vateva. Vateva in 8th position. That's where she finished overall yesterday, having started actually in 8th and a bit of an up and down race. She moved up the order and then had a spin trying to outbrake a rival into turn 1. Janusz Stierk running over the curves on the exit of turn 10. Sort of weird double curve there with a gully in between. Cars don't react very well to it. These 650 horsepower 911 Cup cars. Here's the move then. Berninghausen again went in flat, came out too wide, couldn't stay on the throttle or he'd have run off into the gravel, and Janusz Stierk pounced immediately. And that gravel trap on the exit of turn 4 is going to make it even more of an overtaking opportunity for the drivers, not just today in the Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East, but also in the World Endurance 8-hour encounter that follows later on during the day. Because it means if you have to defend, and defend deep going in, then you are absolutely powerless on the exit because you'll be off throttle when your rivals are on. So it does present a great overtaking opportunity, and the running out wide defence is no longer available unless you fancy a bit of rally crossing. So Janusz Stierk, right behind him Colin Berninghausen, and Stierk stopping the car on the apex there, rotating really sharply. Incident between cars 3, 5 and 44 will be looked at the stewards. Well, Saad Al Saud is the man who escaped there, but he was braking late down the inside, trying to take the lead in Pro-Am from Soren Spreng, had a half spin, and collected Spring, but also behind Thomas Kiefer, car number 44, had a spin in avoidance, and he really did collect Soren Spring. So Spring and Kiefer out of the race. Banksy, who spun off on lap 1, has retired. And there's been a track limit warning for Safe Alameri. These two are leaders overall and in the pro class, sweeping down through the 9-10 complex, doing a good job of staying away from their rivals. Here's the leader in Pro-Am, Saad El Saud. His teammate Khaled Al Ahmadi behind him. Khaled finished second yesterday to Saud in the Pro-Am category. If Saud does run into a penalty, then Khaled may well leave here as the Pro-Am points leader. So Saud has a penalty, and Khaled is right behind him. It seems unlikely that Saud will end up in second place. Alexandra Vateva, though, is a couple of seconds back in 8th place overall, 3rd in Pro-Am. And if she can close on the two Saudi drivers, then she will have a great opportunity to move up in the standings as well. Mark Thomas, the silver car with the blue, yellow and red stripes and black and everything else. Born in the US, born in Canada rather, I beg his pardon. Clearly got the Canadian flag on the B pillar there. Lives here, he's an expat who lives in Bahrain. He is the CEO of Bapco, the sponsor of the 8 Hours of Bahrain. And down the inside, Chris Durandero sold that nice and early. But again, look how deep he has to go in, and Mark Thomas on the racing line can stop and build up his momentum earlier onto the straight. This is going to pay off. He'll be back in front before they cross the finish line at the end of the lap, which is about there. Chris Durandero on the grippier past the tarmac, but Mark Thomas should have enough room there. Andero's going to force it into turn 1. Thomas gives him room to survive, rotates it very tightly as Chris Durandero runs out wide. Now he's going to try and cut back underneath. And Andero all over the dirt. That's not going to help his grip levels. And right behind, Saif Alameri moves up as well. Chris Durandero still there on the inside as he gets the braking area at turn 4. That's not going to work well for him unless Saif gives him space. And he does. Andero just about getting enough momentum out of turn 4 to keep his nose in front. Battle is entertaining as the Masters battle behind it. Peter Precker, yesterday's Masters winner. How far is he ahead of this? He's about 4 seconds ahead of that little group. So we get back to our leaders. Midway through the race, 6 down, 6 to go, including this one. And yesterday we got all dozen laps inside the 30-minute maximum time because there were no interruptions. Touchwood none so far today either. So Mark Thomas with Chris Durandero. It's the battle for 3rd in the Masters category. Where did they finish yesterday? Where was Mark? Mark was 3rd yesterday as well. And Chris Durandero, I think, was 5th in the Masters category, so having a better race. Leaders cross the line once more. So on to lap 8 go Janis Stierk and Colin Berninghausen. Stierk raced in the Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East in its inaugural season last year as the youngest driver, 16 years of age. He's now recently turned 17, still the youngest driver. And in fact, we're racing here on Saturday. He flies home on Sunday. Monday morning, back home in Germany, he's taking his driving test. So hopefully he will have calmed down after the 2 races, otherwise the examiner might be in for a bit of a lively time. James Wallace and Angus Whiteside, the 2 Brits, 3rd and 4th as we get back to the battle for 3rd in Masters. Chris Durandero again back down the inside. Mark Thomas giving him operating room. They both survive. Thomas is going to be slow out of turn 2 and up the hill from turn 3 to turn 4. This is another opportunity for Chris Durandero. He's going to force Mark Thomas to defend deep. Not too deep though. Thomas gets back onto the grippy line as he comes around turn 4. Leaders already out of turn 9. They can see James Wallace in 3rd, the Porsche Junior GB driver. And behind him, Angus Whiteside. 2 refugees from Porsche Carrera Cup GB, both looking for a little bit of winter sunshine and some more miles under their belts. They're both racing in the rookie category as well as in the pro class. All sorts of little balances here. We've got Pro, Pro-Am and Masters classes. We've got a rookie award as well, and we've got the GCC award for Gulf State drivers. Colin Berninghausen really piling the pressure on. This is more than you saw yesterday from Berninghausen when Janis Stierk led right from the start of the race from pole position. He's led almost every corner. So what happened here? Ran out very wide. So Colin Berninghausen may be piling on the pressure. And Janis Stierk, little lock up there as well, runs out very wide once more. Berninghausen has to rotate really tightly at the apex, and that means he can't carry the speed, but he's alongside coming up the hill. And he's got the momentum. Does he make the overlap? He's not quite there. He's on the grippier part of the track, but Janis Stierk won't care. He'll hang on in there, knowing that Berninghausen's options are limited because they run out of road on the exit. Berninghausen can't press home the advantage. Well, that was decent, clean defence from Janis Stierk. No Verstappening him off into the boonies. Mark Thomas goes back in front of Cristo Andero. Nice move under braking there. Mark Thomas has got loads of experience in racing here in Bahrain particularly, but also racing Porsches. And Stierk and Berninghausen both in their second year in the Carrera Cup Middle East. Alexandre Vateva being warned about track limits. Mark Thomas and Cristo Andero still hard at it for 10th place. Haven't seen much of Mike Mim in 5th position because he's a little bit on his own. About 10 seconds behind the pro class battle. And he's about less than a second, about a second ahead of Saud El Saud, but Berninghausen having a big lunge for the lead. That's a good pass. So Janis Stierk looked pretty impregnable yesterday. Behind again, so for the second time in the race, Colin Berninghausen leads, just about keeps his nose clean into the final corner, but he's going to be giving away a toe to Janis Stierk, and short of weaving all the way down the straight, there's not much he can do other than stay painted to the white line to deny Stierk the inside. So Stierk goes early for the racing line, but Berninghausen has enough time to come across. And it's a block pass down into turn 1 if you're on the inside. You sort of park it on the apex, makes it really hard for an equal car to get by. But this is unfamiliar territory for Colin Berninghausen. Yesterday he was the hunter. For much of the race today he was the hunter as well. And being in front and have to defend as opposed to being behind and having to attack, very different mental sets. So what can Janis Stierk do? Stierk still with the fastest race lap. 2:04.1. At the moment they're doing 2:07s. So that early fresh tyre advantage has long gone. Stierk has already had a couple of lockups. Berninghausen, who hasn't, may be in a better position for the rest of the race. Well, that's where it came. One little stray meander up the curbs, losing grip for Janis Stierk, the car squirming underneath him as he tried to feed in the power. There is only so much that the big fat Michelin tyres on these 911 Cup cars can do. And these guys in the pro class, as in Pro-Am, don't have the advantages the guys in Masters do of traction control and ABS. So this is all driver-induced traction, driver-induced cadence braking. Janis Stierk doesn't seem to have many ideas at the moment. Lap 10, so 2 to go at the line. Yesterday, Berninghausen finished second to Stierk. That's how they qualified. And his second fastest lap, giving him pole for race 2. I'm sure he will have hoped that he'd be able to convert that into a win ahead of Janis Stierk. There's no points for the fastest lap, otherwise Stierk would be ahead. But at the moment, Berninghausen looks like he's got him covered. And as a result, they should leave here tied on points, with a win and a second each and a pole position apiece as well. James Wallace in third, 7 seconds behind this battle. Haven't seen much of him in his black and red car. And Angus Whiteside, he's a further nearly 4 seconds behind James Wallace. So back to Mark Thomas and Krista Andero. Alexandra Vateva, third in Pro-Am in 8th position. Does look like she's closing the gap a little on the 2 Saudi racing drivers in front of her. It's her first time racing in Bahrain. Saad Al Saad and Khaled Al Ahmadi have raced here on a number of occasions. So too has Mark Thomas with the stripes on his car. Both of these drivers have raced here before. They raced here last year. Colin Berninghausen and his dad were both racing. Janis Stierk raced here last year as well. For James Wallace and Angus Whiteside, first visit to Bahrain. It's a track that's got plenty of nuance, lots of awkward braking areas and very high abrasion. Now then, this is for 5th place. Mike Mim, the silver car with the turquoise highlights. He's 5th and leading Masters, but right behind him, 2 white and green Pro-Am cars of the Saudi racing team. Saad Al Saud, car number 3, behind him Khaled Al Ahmadi, and Alexandra Vateva. The 4th car in this shot there is slowly closing on Al Ahmadi. I'm not sure she's going to get to him. The leader's already on the final lap. This battle will soon begin it. So Colin Berninghausen crossed the line, nearly 2 seconds ahead of Janis Stierk. And that is the race done and dusted unless Berninghausen throws it away. It is definitely his race to lose. Like Mim, 5th overall for Masters. That's a pretty impressive run. Love to see his on board from the start. Saad Al Saud, yesterday's Pro-Am winner, with a potential question mark hanging over him for that incident with Soren Spreng and Thomas Kiefer. And here's Angus Whiteside. Monster lock-up down into turn 1 on the final lap. He's in 4th place. Colin Berninghausen romping away now. Janis Stierk, I think, has probably selected cruise home and take the points mode. He had a couple of laps trying to get back past Berninghausen, and it was not happening, was it? And so he's dropped more than half a second in the first sector of the lap. I don't think Colin Berninghausen is going to throw it away, and this is really the curse of the commentator, isn't it? But Janis Stierk would certainly have helped if he was piling pressure on his rival. As we come out of turn 13, heading down the hill for the final time. 2 corners remain. Nominally 2 corners, effectively 1 big, long right-hand sweeper into 14, and then exiting through corner 15. Checker flag awaits. Victory in race 2 here in Bahrain for Colin Berninghausen. He wins it from Janis Stierk, a reverse of yesterday's 1-2. James Wallace will come home in 3rd for his 2nd consecutive podium overall and in the pro class. And Angus Whiteside will be 4th again. But Mike Mim, great result from him. There he is, the silver car with the turquoise mirrors. He is 5th overall and wins Masters. The Pro-Am winner right behind him, Saad Al Saud, with Khaled Al Ahmadi, and then Alexandra Vateva. That's your 1, 2, 3 at the line in Pro-Am. We'll wait to see what the stewards say about Saud's incident with his 2 rivals, Soren Spreng and Thomas Kiefer. Springs be very hard to penalise him for a genuine overtaking effort that didn't come off. But on the other hand, he did end Soren Spring's race because Thomas Kiefer spun in avoidance of them and clattered into Spring, and both Kiefer and Spring were out. But no question about the validity of Colin Berninghausen's drive. From pole position, lost the lead in turn 4-5 on lap 1 and regained it, piling the pressure on his rival Janusz Dirk all the way. After everybody made it to the flag yesterday, Banksy had too much damage after his lap 1 gravel trapping incident, and Soren Spring retired to the pit lane. Thomas Kiefer's car was left at the side of the track. But there's your podium finishes, the top 3. Colin Berninghausen, silver and turquoise. The red and yellow of Janusz Dirk in second, and the black and red James Wallace in 3rd place in the Porsche Junior GB colours. Entertaining stuff again. And again, the battle up front, which we didn't manage to get yesterday. Colin Berninghausen couldn't get by Janusz Dirk once Dirk had taken the lead from pole. But today, again in the same position, stuck behind the red and yellow car, managed to create opportunities. Now, whether he had an absolutely unused set of tyres after qualifying and Janusz Dirk didn't, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it would have paid off for him that early. He might have done that if he'd had the opportunity. There's only 2 sets of tyres for the weekend. So our top 3 come down into the main Formula 1 pit lane, and our Pro-Am winner Saud Al Saud follows them in, and they will go onto the main podium for our presentation. And then back in the Oasis pit lane, all the other podiums will be presented for the rookies, for the GCC drivers, the Pro-Am podium, and the Masters podium as well. But Colin Berninghausen, 2nd year in the series, and the young German claims his first win. Raced in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland as well this season in the rookie category. There's James Wallace. 3rd place yesterday, 3rd place today for the 19-year-old from Great Britain. Started racing in humble hot hatches, Citroen Saxos. Has raced in British GT and GT3 and GT4. And now as a Porsche Junior driver, Porsche Junior GB driver. So, 2nd yesterday, 1st today for Colin Berninghausen. 1st yesterday, 2nd today for the man in the DHL car, Janusz Dirk. So they should be tied on points. A pole position apiece, a win apiece, and 2nd apiece. Saud Al Saud in the background, your Pro-Am winner. There he is. So the 2 Saudi Racing team drivers, Saud here and Khaled Al Ahmadi. 1-2 again in the Pro-Am class. And today, Alexandra Vateva, 3rd in Pro-Am at the line. There's your race winner. You could probably guess why Colin Berninghausen is a GT driver rather than a single-seater racer. 18 inches too tall for those single-seaters. So this is how it went from the start. Berninghausen from pole, shut down Janusz Dirk. Watch the white and green car, Saud Al Saud, and on the left-hand side of your picture, the blue and yellow. This time, though, Soren Spring and the yellow and blue car didn't get down into the lead group on turn 1. Saud Al Saud did, nearly took 2nd place. Berninghausen ran out wide out of turn 3, somehow held off Janusz Dirk into turn 4 as they went 3 wide behind him, but on the exit of the corner, Janusz Dirk went through. Berninghausen was relegated to 2nd spot. And that is how that happened. James Wallace and Angus Whiteside there moving up to 3rd and 4th ahead of Saud Al Saud, the white and green car, and Soren Spring, who did make a good run through turns 2 and 3. Then the controversial incident. Saad Al Saad diving to the inside, locks up. Now, he didn't make contact with Soren Spreng. Spreng hit him and was then hit by the spinning Thomas Kiefer. So, although Saad was involved, I think it's very hard to lay blame on him. He was hit from behind. And this was the beginning of a cracking battle between Mark Thomas and Krista Andero that raged all the way through the race. I'm sure they'll have big smiles on their faces for third place in the Masters category. Masters cars for drivers over the age of 40. And they run with traction control and ABS, and there for a moment, Saif Al-Ameri got alongside Krista Andero, but discretion was the better part of valour. Instead of hanging it round the outside at turn 4, quite have the overlap he felt he needed. I think he was probably right there as well. So Janis Stierk looked like he was going to lead all the way through, but Colin Berninghausen had other ideas. He'd seen that Stierk had a wake-up call a lap or two earlier, and then when he got sideways, Berninghausen got through and built that lead in the final couple of laps to end up 2.5 seconds in front of his rival. Mike Mim won Masters ahead of Saad Al Saad, who won the Pro-Am class, and they were 5th and 6th overall. So first race weekend completed for Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. Race 2, Colin Berninghausen, Janis Stierk and James Wallace, the podium and the top 3 in Pro. Mike Mim winning Masters, ahead of Saad Al Saad, Khaled Al Ahmadi and Alexandra Vateva, the top 3 in Pro-Am. Peter Brecker and Mark Thomas completing the Masters podium. They were 2nd and 3rd in the Masters class. Brecker, yesterday's Masters winner. So Banksy, Thomas Kiefer and Soren Spreng not making it to the end. But here is our overall podium. And the dulcet tones of Bob Constantine.
Well done.
Saad Al Saad, our Pro-Am winner, joins them on the podium.
Of Germany. Well done to Colin Berninghausen.
So Colin Berninghausen, you saw his delighted dad down there in the pit lane. They raced together here last year.
Well done to Colin Berninghausen.
Samuel Khalifa, another racer in the championship, presenting the trophies.
Chief Commercial Officer of the Bahrain International Circuit.
The IC CEO presents the trophy for second.
James Wallace. The trophy is presented by Pedro Lamy, former Formula 1 and Le Mans driver.
Pedro Lamy, 2-time winner here in the Bahrain 8 hours in the GTE AM class.
Trophy is presented by Sheikh Salman Al Khalifa.
Winner of Nürburgring 24 hours, Le Mans 24 hours, and he's the driver standards advisor here as well.
Podium winners.
In fact, he won the Nürburgring 24 hours once with Robert Lechner. There is Robert, and his brother, responsible for helping to administer this championship, providing a lot of knowledge and technical backup, and a great family shot.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Well done, guys.
And now, let's celebrate.
So the question is, does carbonated rose water sting when it gets in your eyes the way the champagne does? And now you'll have to ask somebody who's been on a podium here, because I have no clue. There you go, that is it for the opening race weekend of the Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East here in Bahrain. And they move on the final day of November and the 1st of December, racing in Qatar. Next stop. Then in January, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Bahrain in April, supporting the Grand Prix, and they round out later that month in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Till the next time, that's it from your Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East drivers. From me, Martin Haven, bye for now.
Hi, hello.
Sound check.
Hey guys, are we ready?
Six rounds.
12 races.
Tough competition.
Real racing.
From Bahrain to Saudi Arabia.
Iconic tracks.
and breathtaking destinations.
This is the second season.
This is
The Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East.
We're ready to go.
That's it?
That's it.